Hi, my name is Lisa Nichols. I basically developed an interest in wildlife at a young age from many chances of opportunities going camping, going to zoos, looking at what was around me. And ultimately, after I graduated with a degree in zoology, I became a national park ranger. And by circumstances of who I actually worked for, I ended up in a law enforcement career with the National Park Service. But that ultimately led to my last 20 years of my federal law enforcement career being a special agent for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So I spent 20 years as a criminal investigator, and a good majority of the cases that I worked dealt with smuggling, many of them smuggling wildlife medicinals or wildlife products that were used in medicinals. And so when I decided at the age of 60, for some unknown reason why I still can't even figure out why, I decided to go back to school and work on a master's program. But I took my experience as a special agent and incorporated them into the master plan of trying to change people's attitudes and behaviors and humans that consume wildlife for medicinal purposes. And that's a big task because it's something that's ingrained in thousands of years of tradition. Anecdotal stories passed on from family member after family member. No real scientific basis for them, but it's hard to change people's attitudes and behavior when it's based on the people that they've respected in their life. You can't just go in and tell people that's wrong, don't do it. You have to come up with alternate solutions or other reasons or some sort of role model that says we're not going to do this because it benefits us to have these animals in the wild. And that's what I've spent the last 3 years trying to do, is research how wildlife demand reduction campaigns work, which ones have been successful, why were they successful? And really, it's sort of an unknown field. It's relatively new studying that there are a lot of organizations and governments that work on wildlife demand reduction campaigns, but there's no real measure of how successful they are other than maybe trying to interview people and find out what's currently being utilized and what the demand is. But after years in law enforcement targeting the symptom of the problem, I've decided to work on the cause, and the cause is the demand. It's basically economics 101. If there is no demand, there will be no supply. There's no money in it. There's no reason for people to poach and smuggle. So that's what I've worked on for the last few years, and I'm hoping that some of the papers I wrote and some of the project I worked on gave new upcoming conservationists an idea of what they need to look at and where they need to go and work on other projects of their own.